Welcome back to the Kiwi Wedding Podcast. My name is Lydia and I am your host and wedding photographer based in Tamaki Makaurau, Auckland. Today on the podcast, I'm chatting to the lovely Cilla. Cilla and Henry got married on a private property down in Christchurch. They had a multi-day event incorporating their Chinese culture and traditions and a Western wedding in a Marquee, as well as banquets for their around 200 guests. We chat through how their parents knew each other for years and then they connected at a part-time job working there together, their South Island proposal at an iconic spot, the challenges of planning a wedding in Christchurch while living in Auckland. We go into their budget, how they went with that, doing some things DIY and whether that was worth it, who their most important vendors were, lots of amazing advice, and why you should maybe start planning your wedding even before you're engaged. This one is full of great tips and ideas and was a visually stunning day as well, so make sure you jump over to our Instagram at the Kiwi Wedding Podcast to check out photos and see all their vendors there too. Enjoy episode 41 with Cilla. Hi Cilla, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. So excited to chat all about your story and wedding celebrations.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited as well.
Yay. So to get started, if you could just tell me a little bit about you and your partner, how you guys met and your life together.
Yeah, sure. So my partner Henry and I, we met in 2012. We met in Christchurch. That's where we were both born and raised. And I guess you could say it was through our parents because my parents in Christchurch are in the restaurant business, and then his parents actually supplied seafood to the business. So they've known each other since before we were actually born. And then, I worked part-time at the restaurant, and then Henry actually ended up working part-time. So I remember very vividly the moment we first met was when I was washing dishes and glassware. So very romantic. But I think we started as friends, or I guess colleagues, then friends, and then best friends, and then we've been together for it's actually been over 9 years now we've been together. So, yeah.
Which is a sweet story. So, you guys dated for a while and then got engaged. And can you tell me a bit about the proposal story, how that all went down?
Yeah, so I guess we got engaged in December 2022. So we'd been together for around like that 7 to 8 year mark. And it was something that we had discussed throughout our whole relationship. And I feel like I was the type of girl who was like, oh, when's it going to happen? Is it going to happen soon? And our proposal day, we were in Christchurch for like that Christmas break period, and we wanted to actually go on a day trip. And he said, oh, do you want to go to Lake Tekapo? And I said, oh, yes, that would be awesome because I know that the lupin fields are really pretty during that time. And it's just, such an amazing spot during the summertime, Lake Tekapo. We spent the day there, and then on the way, when we were about to head back, we said, oh, let's go to lupin fields because they were blooming at that time. And it was just the peak season for them. So there was a whole field of them out, and we found a spot, we took a photo, and then he actually ended up getting down on one knee and proposing. So it was a really, really special moment, and just the best being surrounded by like a field of beautiful flowers.
Oh, so pretty. Such a amazing setting for it. I'm sure you took lots of photos as well.
Yeah, definitely. That was like one of the highlights, is actually having being proposed to, but then being able to take photos afterwards in such like a beautiful scenery as well.
So stunning down there. And had you always been one of those girls that dreamed about your wedding, what you wanted? And did you have like a vision and style in mind? And what were those kind of first steps, deciding on a venue, all of that?
Yes, so I definitely was the type of girl that thought about my wedding and dreamed of my wedding. I grew up on Disney, so I was definitely like a romantic and loved love. In terms of the vibe and what I had wanted, I think all those years, it was always the dress for me that I thought, oh, that's the moment that was my moment, and that was the thing that I would love to think about the most. But in terms, yeah, of the actual wedding setting, we we really did. I really didn't know what I wanted until maybe later on in life, after seeing maybe other people's weddings and also seeing things online as well, what kind of vibe I liked. So I hadn't really decided until later on um, in life what I wanted for that aspect. And venue wise, I think venue was quite challenging for us, just because we both have really large families, and yeah, that was going to we knew that that was going to be quite a difficult thing, was being able to find a venue to hold over 200 people. And yeah, I think we had been, luckily we knew that we wanted to get married in Christchurch, and we'd had been fortunate enough to attend a few weddings already in Christchurch and kind of know what venues were around. Um, and unfortunately, I think most of them did only want to accommodate 180, especially the ones that suited kind of that vibe that we wanted. And so we actually ended up doing a Marquee style wedding with Truly Yours on private property. It was at my uncle's farm. And that worked out amazing for us because, yeah, we were able to accommodate the amount of people that we wanted, and then also really build our venue from the ground up. So that was really, really great, being able to choose the style and the vision, and make it our own.
So good. It's definitely a lot of work doing those kind of marquee weddings, but
Oh, for
nice to be
sure.
able to just, yeah, create exactly what you want and be able to fit as many people as well. Yeah, what were the most important elements of the day for you, your sort of top priorities when it came to different vendors? You mentioned the dress. Yeah, anything else like that?
Yeah, so I think one of the most important aspects for Henry and I was that we honor our culture, and we're really close to our family and friends. And we were born in New Zealand, but we were raised in both Chinese households growing up. So one thing I guess we did want to honor and respect was our Chinese culture. So being able to do kind of like a mix of Western and Chinese cultural celebrations was great, because we got the best of both worlds and was able to do, that West have our my white that white dress moment on one day, but also surrounded by other Chinese, like different types of special ceremonies. Like we did a tea ceremony, and then we did a few like Chinese food banquets as well. So yeah, that was definitely something that we wanted to do to represent us as a couple, and important for us. In terms of other vendors that I guess were really important for us too, was photos and video, for sure. Photography and videography, we really didn't mind spending a lot, just because we knew that that was going to be something that we took away, and actually could last like after the wedding. So yeah, we had the amazing George and Jane, Tish and Tim on video and photography. And then another important element for photography for me is I love film so much. So we actually had the amazing Serena be our like second photographer and kind of specialize on film photography for the day. Yeah, I'm a huge sucker for like movement, and just those like candid shots where they're a little bit blurry, and just yeah, really that kind of vibe I'm just all in for. So yeah, it was really special having a couple different types of photography. And then maybe the other high priority that we also had was the food. Being our parents and our family just kind of being in like that food industry, we both love food so much as well. We're huge foodies. We definitely wanted to make sure that there was a lot of food and lots of different kinds of food. We had like Western and Chinese kind of style foods on the day and throughout the whole week. So we were really really lucky that my mum, she made her and her team made the cake for us, and then they made our dessert for our day too. And I think that's something that a lot of my friends and family have actually complimented on us on, was the food. So I'm really, really happy. I was really, really happy with that.
Definitely a part that the guests remember for sure when it's good food.
Yeah.
And so good with your photo and video team as well. I know they're all so talented, and film photography is definitely becoming, I guess you could say, a trend, or it's come back around again. But there's something so special and timeless about it. And nice to have both options from your day covered. And so you had a few different celebrations on your wedding week. Can you tell me about your outfits a bit and what the process was like, finding them, getting them made?
Yeah, sure. So I guess maybe I'll touch on our Chinese celebrations first. So our I guess traditionally in Chinese culture, there's actually lots of different kinds of dresses you can wear. I think most commonly people would know like a kipo, or I think in Western culture it might be like a chi pao. That's how it's pronounced. And then but traditionally I think it is like a red dress that people would tend to wear. And unfortunately in New Zealand I don't think that there was that many you could buy it so easily, and I think online was quite difficult as well. So my family and I were really lucky that we actually decided to book flights back to China, I think 6 or 7 months before the wedding, to actually go and organize out my whole the wedding outfits there. And that was it was another experience, going to China and doing that wedding shopping, because it was just it felt like a whole new world really. They had everything. They had streets dedicated to wedding shopping, where you would be able to buy like things ranging from your wedding outfits to decorations, to invitations, that you could really, it's like a one-stop shop there. So we went to the outfit kind of lane or mall, and I think I tried on like 10 to 15 different types of red dresses, and we ended up finding one for one for me, and then also a male like outfit as well for Henry there, and then we brought them back to New Zealand, and it was great. Like they actually altered it then and there on the spot as well, and were able to alter it within like 24 hours. So that was insane, but also really really convenient. And then I guess for the Western, like the white dress that I wore as well, as I said, I have like dreamed of this moment. I was such like a um, Disney fan. I wanted that kind of like princess moment, you could say. And I had tried on. I went to a few different boutiques in Auckland and Christchurch just to try on what style I would like. I hadn't ever tried on a wedding dress before, so I didn't really know what would look good. In my head, though, I did think I'd always kind of envisioned like an A-line, like a tulle kind of quite a big skirt. And I think, that kind of was like the one thing that I had in my head the whole time. But it was really the top part that I had no idea what I wanted. So I kept trying on a lot of dresses, and in the Auckland stores, they were so beautiful. A lot of the dresses I really, really liked, but there was none that I had fallen absolutely in love with. I think there was about 3 that I really liked different elements of. And then I came across the amazing Fritz and Sarah, where we were able to kind of do a bespoke dress. And what I loved about them was I was able to almost combine the different things that I loved across the 3 dresses and put them into one dress, and they were able to help me design and make the dress for me. So yeah, that was really, really lovely. And I had the best experience. I genuinely felt like a princess the whole time. I was there trying on this really beautiful gown. And yeah, it was just, yeah, I really, really loved that experience. That was like one of my favorite parts of the wedding process, really, was the dress.
I've heard so many raving reviews about them, and their work is beautiful. They're very talented at what they do. And did you have a bridal party? And if so, how was that process choosing them?
Yeah, we did have a bridal party as well. So to be honest, the bridal party for me, so my bridesmaids, was the easiest thing for me. If I'm being honest, I think I actually had already decided who my bridal party was before I even got engaged, because it was my sister and my two cousins. I really, my two cousins, they're basically like sisters to me, anyways. So I just knew it was always going to be those three up there with me. And yeah, it was a no brainer. I loved that it was all family as well, just because for me, I think it kind of eliminated the pressure or the any potential awkwardness with having to choose friends. I think that would have been quite difficult for me, was to choose a couple friends. But as soon as I said, yep, these my sister and my two cousins, and kept it family, I think that was made the process a lot easier on me. For Henry, his groomsmen, I think he did find that a little bit more difficult. He ended up choosing his brother and his two friends from high school, really, really close and long friends from high school. So, but I think he did struggle a little bit more with with that one compared to me.
It can be difficult, especially when you've so many different friends from different areas of your life, and just choosing them, or I don't know, you don't want to have this kind of hierarchy, but yeah, nice that you could keep it in the family.
Yeah, and I think that with some people, like you just don't want to offend them as well, and think that you like a friend over the other. I know we're all adults and they won't feel that way. I'm sure people will respect that, but it was, if I could avoid any conflict or any awkwardness, then yeah, that would make, I guess, the process so much easier. So I think, yeah, choosing, if you can, choose family first, because I think people understand that family is like blood. So
Yeah, that's great advice. You definitely hear about those dramas with bridesmaids and stuff, and yeah, you hope that everyone's kind of mature enough to deal with it. But yeah, good to just avoid anything like that.
yeah.
And yeah, you mentioned having quite a lot of guests. So how did you find that process? Was it difficult narrowing them down?
Yeah, so our guest list was, I think, because Henry and I have such large families, and we're actually really close to all of our families as well. So it was so hard to, not be able, it wasn't really a consideration for us to have some family and not some family, because yeah, we are genuinely close and love our whole family. We interact with them on a frequent basis. It's not like we've got some estranged members who are not we're not close with. And I think as well, with Chinese culture in particular, or even Asian culture, families are weddings are quite a family, more of a family celebration. And I think that it's a time where, yeah, your family do come to celebrate you, and we really, really wanted to have that be our main thing that we wanted to do at our wedding, was be able to have all of our family come together. We've got a lot of family from different places across the world, like China, America, Australia, and across New Zealand. And since we hadn't seen a lot of those family members since, due to COVID as well, I think this was kind of like one of the first times that people were able to travel and come back to New Zealand, and be together with family members. So that was kind of in the back of our mind as well, with why our wedding was quite large. Is I think my mum almost treated it as a family reunion, um, and wanted like everyone to come together. But then again, that did make it quite hard, because we understood that the more people that we had at our wedding, the cost would go higher. And also Henry and I did want to try keep it, I guess, as small as we could, just due to the fact that, we didn't want randoms coming to the wedding, but we also wanted to be able to give our time to all the guests as well. It was really important that, we really, really made the most of people, especially people traveling overseas, for example, where we hadn't seen them for a long time. So, yeah, it was really difficult to narrow down our guest list, but we, tried to keep it to family members that we genuinely knew and were close with, and then friends as well that we were genuinely close with as well.
So it's always a bit of a tricky one, that part of it, but nice that you were able to include all your family. And yeah, it's so rare that they're all together in the same room, so cool that it was a bit of a reunion as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And can you tell us about the well, not even just the day, all of the days, the wedding week, and yeah, can you tell us a bit about your different celebrations, and then how everything went down, any highlights, favorite moments?
So our first, I guess, official wedding tradition or wedding celebration day was our tea ceremony. And before the tea ceremony even starts, there's kind of like a little bits of things that they do as well, which we did what's called like door knocking. So I think in Chinese culture, what the groom would do is the bride is hiding inside the house, and the groom would need to knock the door down to get to the bride, and it's kind of like a fun games played where the bridal party would set some challenges up, so that it's like, what would the groom be willing to do to get to the bride. So that was kind of our first thing that we did on our tea ceremony. But the actual tea ceremony consisted of pouring tea to our family members, and we would pour tea, and in exchange they would offer like blessings or kind words, and sometimes a gift in exchange, for that. And it's really to just welcome each other's partner into the family, and a time to really be able to say congratulations, and any nice kind words that they want to say to our to each other. We then had our Western wedding day. So I think this is like the traditional day that most, I guess, Kiwis would have, where it was the ceremony and reception. So yeah, I loved this. This day was like the day that I basically planned like this whole day with the help of we actually ended up having a planner and coordinator as well, Sarah from Movable Feast, help on the day, and that was amazing being able to have her with me throughout the whole process, because I'd never planned a wedding before, let alone like a Marquee style private property wedding, where there's just so many elements and so many things that you just don't consider doing on the day as well. There's just a lot of elements and a lot of vendors that we didn't realize. Oh yeah, we actually need a generator. Oh yeah, we need portaloos. A lot of different things. But honestly, the actual day was amazing. Like it went by so quick, to be honest. And a lot of people say that it goes fast, and truly, it really, really does go by so quick. And then, I think the last other 2 days that we had of celebrations was really like food banquets across the remaining 2 days. So that was kind of where we just had like lunches and dinners with other family and friends that maybe weren't necessarily at the Western wedding day, but we still wanted to be able to celebrate with them. Those were what I call like my mum's friend, like our parents, friends and family, who maybe they wanted to invite, but due to our Western wedding having like a certain amount of capacity, we weren't unfortunately able to invite them. So that was a great way to be able to celebrate with people that we hadn't seen on our official wedding day, I guess.
Nice. Oh, sounds like an amazing week. So many cool celebrations, and good to be able to spread it across a few different days and then have those traditional parts as well. Love that.
It's hard to choose like a highlight, to be honest, because there were so many on each day. I guess for the Chinese, like the celebration part of it, it was definitely, being able to pour tea for both my grandparents. I One of my grandparents lives in Brisbane, so I rarely get to see her, and just being able to, like have that moment with them was so special. Wearing our traditional clothing as well, that was just a highlight in itself. We felt like royalty, to be honest. It was when you put on, like traditional clothing, I think that really takes you back to your roots as well, and makes you appreciate, your culture and where you've, like, what all the history behind it. So I think that was a really, really special, just being able to wear, traditional clothing on that day. And yeah, we felt like Mulan and Shang from Mulan a little bit. And then on our Western, I guess the Western celebration, oh, so many highlights. But um, I think for me, the most special moment was our first look. I think that was, if I could relive like any moment of the wedding, it would be um, that moment, just because, yeah, it was super emotional. And it was just, yeah, it's just a special moment between Henry and I. We did actually have a couple people present, during the first look, because where we did it was kind of where the ceremony was getting set up. So we had a few people who were watching, and I heard that other people were crying as well. So yeah, it was very, very emotional, but just so sweet and special.
Oh, so nice to have that moment. Kind of yourselves first. It's not for everyone. Some people are very traditional, see each other down the aisle, which is fine. But I always love it when couples opt for a first look, and it can really help the whole day just flow a bit smoother, the timeline, not having to rush away for all your photos.
Yeah, and I totally understand. Like each couple would do it differently, depending on, what they want, which is, definitely what I would recommend as well. I think for us, you're exactly right. We wanted to do the first look so that we could have a moment for ourselves. It's quite something that I didn't realize, that, it's you and your partner's wedding day, but you actually don't really get that much alone time on the day, even though it's supposed to be your day. Just because, a lot of the time you are going to be with either your bridal party or talking to other friends and family. So I think that first look was quite a special moment where we could, even though I think there were people around us, it really felt like a moment just between the two of us. And then as well, it allowed for, our bridal party photos to be taken straight afterwards and before the ceremony happened. So once the ceremony happened, we were all for our guests, and, could really make the most of our time with everyone.
So good. It's a great way to do it. And you don't really get a lot of one on one time, which is crazy when it's like celebrating the two of you. But yeah, it's kind of that. And then if you sneak out for like 5 minutes of sunset photos, maybe.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I mean, like we did do I think it's called a sweetheart table. I think it's called. But it was just the two of us, as the, like, I guess kind of like a head table as well. So that also gave us the chance to, be the two with the two of us as well. But yeah, you're right. There's not really many moments where it's just the two of you, because normally you are surrounded by others. So I think the first look was kind of a good opportunity just to have, yeah, for the two of us.
nice. I love that you did that table setting as well. You don't always see that, but it's good to just, yeah, have a bit of more focused quality time there as well. And that's something I'd really encourage couples to do. Just think about a few moments throughout the day where you can maybe step away from the party, or just like, yeah, sit with each other for 5 minutes and kind of be present and take it in, and yeah, just be with each other, because it's crazy how much that doesn't always happen.
No, not at all. And I think like by sitting next to each other, we were able to just, have a conversation and just check in with each other and say like, oh, like, how are you? How are you feeling? Because, it's such a crazy day. And sometimes we get separate, throughout the day we did get separated, and we were talking to other people at the time, so it was great being able to just, when we sat down together, just being able to be like, oh, like, how are you finding it, and do a wee check-in, which is what I really really liked.
So good. And what did you find the hardest part about wedding planning? And yeah, is there anything you look back on and regret or would do a bit differently?
Oh, the hardest part, I definitely think our guest list, just because of the sheer number of our guest list, that was something really, really difficult to try keep within a certain number of people, but then also respect like our parents as well, and respect our family and wanting to include, as much of our family. So yeah, trying to find that fine line of people that we wanted in our wedding versus people that our parents wanted at our wedding was something that we did have like a little bit of struggle with initially, but at the end of the day, I think they both kind of came. Our parents are great and fantastic. They kind of just said to us, at the end of the day, it is your wedding. I guess you guys can, you guys do what you guys want. But then we were also the ones who said, but we want to make sure that you guys, we're including our family as well, because that is something that I guess we wanted to do. So yeah, finding that fine number where we wanted to keep it as tight as and small, and I wouldn't say intimate, but we wanted to keep it as small as possible, so that we were including our friends and family that we genuinely care and love. That was really, really hard. And I guess that kind of does follow on to, and I guess another struggle that we had was because we were doing Western and Chinese celebrations as well, was trying to find a balance between doing things that we want to do versus things that maybe might have been expected or traditional in Chinese culture or in Western culture as well. So yeah, finding like choosing, I guess, the different ceremony aspects or how far we want to take a tradition as well, that can be quite a thing that I think a lot of people who have cultural celebrations might experience. Is yes, that might be traditional in a certain culture, but how far, or like to what extent do you want to do it? Do you want to do it exactly the full way that people traditionally do it, or is it something that maybe you want to take certain elements of it as well and just kind of make it your own? But yeah, so I think for us that was a challenge. With the tea ceremony, we've never had one before. We've attended a few tea ceremonies and it's done a certain way, but for us, to give you a bit of context, like I think tea ceremony is actually supposed to be done the morning of your Western celebration. And for us, like, we had a little bit of we had a bit of hesitation doing that, because we have a lot of family members who we would need to pour tea for. And if we had done it the morning of, that actually meant that we would lose a lot of time in our on our Western wedding day, and would have to do two different looks, and it was just going to cause, I think, extra stress and take up a lot of time. So we ended up doing, that's why we ended up doing the day beforehand. But I know it's not really traditional, I guess, in pure tradition to do it the day beforehand, because you're supposed to do it on the day, I guess, you get married. So yeah, trying to work out what traditions you want to do, and to the extent of what you want to do, and but still respecting your culture. I think that was something that we really found a bit difficult, as well as trying to plan like a marquee wedding as well. I think that's a different beast in itself. When we go to a venue, a lot of the things are already there that you don't have to worry about, and it's all kind of like wrapped up in kind of like a package for you. Whereas for Henry and I, like when we decided to do a marquee wedding, as much as we loved the concept of being able to build our own venue and build it from the ground up and choose what we wanted, that also caused additional, things that we had to think about as well. I kind of touched on them earlier, but there's so many things in a wedding that you don't realize you need because it's already there in a venue. But also, living in Auckland and having the wedding in Christchurch, there was a lot of like logistic things as well where we couldn't just be at my uncle's farm the whole time to be able to know, how far something is going to be or where we should set up certain things. So yeah, I think that's was a bit of a challenge that we originally had, was just trying to conceptualize and vision our wedding, just because we didn't really have any photos or previous pics to go off in the past. I think the beauty of having a venue is that you kind of might have an idea of what it would look like through other people's weddings, or maybe what they've done in the past of certain events. Whereas we never had a wedding at my uncle's farm before, so having nothing to really go by and trying to vision it was something quite challenging, that we didn't really expect until we were in the process of it.
Fair enough. There's a lot that goes into that, and so special to have your own unique venue that no one's ever got married at before. But then also all the challenges that come with that, and planning from a different city as well.
Yeah.
So
we were really lucky that the Christchurch wedding vendors they are amazing in the sense that all of them had worked together. Most of them had worked together beforehand, so they kind of knew, how each other kind of worked and knew who was going to be doing what. So we were really fortunate in the sense that a lot of them had done stuff in the past, so they could kind of know where things should go or what needs to happen. We didn't really have to like micromanage or tell them what to do, because I think a lot of them kind of just did their own. We trusted in them to do their own thing, and it worked out amazing.
Some really talented vendors down in Christchurch, and it's nice that New Zealand is kind of small like that, so a lot of people do know each other, have worked together before, and then it can be a very seamless experience for couples, which we love.
Yeah.
And did you guys have a budget? If you're happy to talk a bit about that, did you end up spending more than you thought? And how was that whole process?
Yeah, so when we first started planning our wedding, we knew that with the potentially high number of people that it was going to be really costly, and we tried to set a budget of maybe like $80,000 to $90,000, just based on what we'd heard from other people's weddings. But we did end up going above that, just because when you're planning the wedding, you think that things are going to cost a certain amount, but they actually do end up costing a little bit more. What we've realized, there's a lot of additional costs with having a marquee style wedding as well, that we weren't we didn't realize at the time that we need certain things to make it possible. But also leading up towards the week or two before the wedding, extra little things as well add up, that you just don't realize are going to cost so much. So we did end up going above, but we were really, really lucky and privileged that our parents, both sides, did help contribute and so support us on with the costs of the wedding. So we were really, really lucky to be to have their help.
Common experience, I guess, for people to, I mean, it's so hard to set a budget sometimes, and then you're kind of in the thick of it and it's like, okay, this is going to cost more than we think, or you get to sort of a month or two out and there's a lot of unexpected things that pop up. So
and we tried to DIY, and we tried to do a lot of things on our own that we could, but I think it gets to the point where when you're doing a lot of the things, you can't, as the bride and groom, like, unfortunately you can't do everything, and there are going to be things that you have to, I guess, get help or vendors on. So we tried to have our family, or family and friends, help us as much as we could with certain things, but at the end of the day, like, they also can't do everything as well, so you are going to have to rely on vendors to help. And some vendors, I think you just don't know how much it's going to cost until they give you that quote. So it's really hard to plan sometimes when you don't really have a rough idea of what something might cost or what something should cost as well. That was the tricky part as well, was not having really a bench line or something that we could really go off, especially since it was kind of not a venue. It was more of like a marquee style wedding. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's so understandable. Sometimes it's just like you don't know till you know, which is
Yeah.
hard, not the best advice. But yeah, I
Yeah.
guess just plan for those unexpected costs to pop up. And did you guys go on honeymoon straight away? And what did planning that look like?
So, since we had a lot of family and friends come from overseas, and we had events throughout the whole week, we didn't necessarily go on like a full honeymoon afterwards, just because we wanted to spend time with with our family and friends. I think the week after our wedding, we Henry and I did decide that we would do like a mini moon, and we drove down to Queenstown for three days, which was really really nice. Just being able to fully relax, recharge. Our social battery was drained by then as well, just by having, so many different events and days of like celebrations. So it was really nice to, yeah, be able to go to Queenstown and actually go back to Lake Tekapo as well and stop over a year later, coming back from we were engaged the year beforehand, and then exactly on the year after we'd come back as married. So that was quite special. But yeah, I think we're actually going to plan to go to Europe later on this year, just so that we can have like a honeymoon, but also, we didn't want to go into something huge straight after the wedding, mainly because of exhaustion and like we were so tired after the celebration. I think that if we went on, like a big honeymoon, we first of all, I didn't actually have time to plan the honeymoon too, because I was so preoccupied with planning the wedding week really, and then cost wise as well. We kind of allows us to save up, regenerate our funds, and be able to look forward to our honeymoon later on this year.
Yeah, it's good to just do a little local getaway and, as you say, sort of recharge from all those celebrations. And then, yeah, nice to have something to look forward to later. Europe will be amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Also, I think with like Europe and being that time of the year as well, hope like we wanted to. It's our first time that we would have both gone to Europe. We've never been before, so we really did want to experience it in like a more hotter summer spring time. I think that if we went in December, we would have been freezing cold. So I'm not sure if we wanted, I guess, that as our first ever summer experience. So that's also, I guess, another reason why we decided to delay our honeymoon a little bit.
Yeah, nice. That's great advice. I think summer definitely is the most popular season for Kiwis to get married in, and a lot of our country has temperamental weather, so try and get married in the summer months. But then, yeah, if you're going away to the northern hemisphere, they're obviously cold then, so it's nice to be able to book something, get away from the New Zealand winter
Yeah.
and go somewhere warmer. Love that idea.
Yes, definitely. I'd love to, if I could have back-to-back summers all the time, then I would 100% love that.
My dream life.
Yeah.
Chase the sun.
I know.
So good. And were there any helpful websites, apps, different resources that you used during the wedding planning process?
Yeah, definitely. So I think the three main, like on for planning purposes, the three main ones that I used was, I guess, Pinterest for getting like ideas and kind of creating a vibe, just seeing what's out there that, possibilities that you can do with a wedding, maybe even getting ideas of different things that maybe not so common in a wedding that we might want to do. And then TikTok was really really good for all my DIYs. I ended up buying a cricket, and I just went to town on that. We made like our place cards, like name cards with a cricket, my cricket as well, and then a lot of the different black vinyl that we put on that said like the choose, which is like our surname, and then anything that we wanted to decorate with that required wording, we stuck on with like those vinyl stickers was made through my cricket, and I got all those ideas from TikTok really. And then Instagram was so helpful for vendors, especially if um, vendors I found through Instagram was being able to see, like, you know, what kind of style that they had. So like photography wise was being able to pick, you know, what kind of photography style, and that's where we were able to find, you know, George and Jane and Serena. And then a lot of our other vendors was also found through Instagram, was seeing who had worked with and listed, maybe and tagged, and then being able to, you know, go back and see their work as well. So yeah, Instagram was great at looking at vendors. Another thing that I actually found really, really helpful was talking to people who had also gotten married recently as well. So previous brides, also like your podcast, like, you know, people sharing their experiences was so helpful on the day, because, you know, I don't think many people had done like a Chinese celebration, but at least you can get tips and tricks from all brides, and something, you know, you'd never consider, because, you know, we'd never got married. We'd never got married before, so it was a new thing for us. And I think having people who'd gotten married and just asking them, oh, like, is there anything that you would recommend? Everyone's answer was always so different. So yeah, being able to pull on people's past experiences and then being able to share, you know, maybe what went wrong at their wedding to try and avoid for our wedding was so helpful as well.
Yeah, you can't really beat that first-hand experience. So good if you can just chat to people that are recently married. And yeah, I love those top three apps as well. Definitely popular ones with weddings and so helpful. And I keep seeing so many like cricket tutorials and stuff coming
Yes.
up on TikTok. And yeah, if you're wondering what a cricket is, how would you explain that? It's kind of like a
Oh, it's kind of like
printer.
printer cutter. Yeah, it's quite a good printer cutter tool, where you kind of go online and just want to, if you want to print something or cut something out, they'll help you do it. So I know a lot of brides particularly use it for their invites, use it for menus, use it for a lot of their stationery aspects of their wedding. And it was just something quite fun to play around with, really, but ended up I guess saving us a lot of money in the whole stationery and design aspect of it, because then we were able to, you know, kind of DIY our invites and sometime in our menus, and yeah, really custom them to how we would want. So yeah, that was a pretty fun tool to use.
Yeah, it's a good one. If you're keen to get a bit creative or DIY, definitely look into that. And there's so many TikToks and videos about how to do things, and they come out really like professional looking, not just like you're amateur cutting them out.
Yeah.
So it's a good
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, you're so right. Like, if especially I think, like, you know, the like the arch and the wavy kind of invites are really on trend at the moment. I think that's where we kind of utilized our cricket for, was those things that maybe we couldn't didn't want to do individually, but yeah, we're able to send through to that cricket, and then able to do it. But I think one thing that people, I just would want to say, is that we experienced. We thought that it was going to be a fun job, but having to do, you know, like 200 place cards, 200 invites, and 200 menus, and everything, it did take a lot of time and effort as well. Poor Henry, I kind of roped him into, you know, helping and peel like all of our different acrylics that we were using. And so it was a bit of a time consuming process. I would definitely recommend that if anyone was going to DIY any aspects of their wedding, is to start early, because you don't want to, you know, be cricketing like the day before your wedding, which is unfortunately what I ended up doing. But yeah, if you plan it better than I did and start really early on, you will avoid all of that.
Yeah, that's great advice. I think a lot of people think, oh, just DIY, it'll be so much easier, but it's your time as well. And like your time is money. And if you have like a full-time job and then you're trying to do that as well. Just, yeah, think about how much time it's going to take you and if it's better to outsource it or just, yeah, like you say, start really far in advance and spread that over the months.
Yeah, exactly. You're so right because, Henry and I, we do work full time. And then I honestly felt like once, we worked 9 to 5 and then from 5 p.m. onwards, like, we had our night shift, which was wedding planning and also, wedding DIY things as well. Like it takes up a lot of your time planning the wedding, let alone doing your DIY things. So yeah, I would encourage people to find their priorities and things that they definitely want to do DIY, but if it's something that you think that will take too much time and effort, then outsource it. It's going to cost, like, if it's worth the cost, in my opinion. If for some things, looking back, I'm like, oh, how do like why do we do that, or why are we putting so much effort into these things? And looking back, it was real special because people could take like their place cards home and stuff with their names on it, and we could say that we made them, which was amazing. But yeah, I think there were some things in the wedding that I'm like, oh yeah, which we would have just like asked someone and paid for them to do it instead. So it's, yeah, finding that balance, I guess, is quite tricky.
Yeah, absolutely. It's yeah, a really fun process, but can overtake your life a little bit as
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
And you've given a lot of amazing advice already, but yeah, is there any other advice that you'd want to give to couples that are planning their wedding at the moment?
Yeah, when I thought about like some things that I wish that I'd personally known beforehand in the wedding process, this one could be a little bit controversial, I guess, but actually start planning the wedding or just thinking of vendors before you actually get engaged. So I think one thing that people don't realize is that, typically I think people do get married within that 1 year to 1.5 year mark. And that is actually not a lot of time, especially for your big vendors like your venue photographer and maybe florals or hair and makeup as well sometimes, because people usually get booked up a year in advance as well. So something that I kind of started doing, and it could have been like the hopeless romantic in me, was I actually started looking at some vendors before I got engaged. I just taking a look on Instagram, and seeing, oh, this person got married with this vendor, and I really like their work, so I'll just save it into like a wedding folder or something, not necessarily contacting them or anything, but just having a folder of vendors saved early, like as early as possible as well, so that maybe when you get married, you're not having to do a lot of that research, because that's another thing that I would 100% give as advice is do your research on your vendors and really find vendors that you love their work and their who the people you really vibe with as people, because they really set the tone, and they can really make your wedding your dream day, is working with like your dream vendors. And unfortunately, with like the wedding industry in New Zealand, is that really small in the sense that they're going to be vendors that may be booked up on your special day as well. So not all the time you're going to be able to get those dream vendors. So you do kind of want to have maybe like some backups or some people that you love equally just as much, so that you're not riding on, I guess, that one dream vendor. And I was really, really happy and glad that before I kind of got engaged, I was able to do a little bit of research beforehand to see, oh, these are like the hair and makeup people in Christchurch that I've seen maybe people use, or that my friends and family have used as well in the past, and I've heard great things from them. So just noting them down, so that when it came to being engaged, I had that list kind of already done, so that I could focus on maybe other vendors that I hadn't researched. I think that's a little bit of advice. I know that it's probably not the best, maybe like planning per se your wedding before you get engaged, but as long as, yeah, as if you can look at some vendors and just saving them even in the back of your head, then I think I would probably advise that, because yeah, there's a lot of other things that you can focus on during the planning process. Another thing that I would probably say to give advice on is if you're doing a private property and or a marquee style wedding, I would 100% recommend having a coordinator or at least someone who has had experience in planning a marquee style wedding beforehand. As I said, there's so many elements and different things that you probably wouldn't have considered before, getting married. I think having a coordinator, to be honest, I think that it actually would apply to a venue as well. Having a coordinator on the day just makes your process so much more seamless, and being able to really just you be able to focus on experiencing and living through the day rather than worrying about what things are going on in the back end.
Yeah, that's great advice. It's definitely a key vendor that I would highly recommend as well. Just makes the day flow a lot more smoother. And then, yeah, I love what you said about doing a bit of planning even before you're engaged, which some people might think is crazy,
I
but
know, yeah.
it's like I've had inquiries before people are engaged, and I know other vendors that have as well. And if you've been in like a long-term relationship and it's kind of heading that way, then there's no harm in it. I even know some brides that bought their wedding dress before being engaged, so it's not silly. And like, if you want to have a Saturday wedding in summer, then they are very popular, and yeah, things can be booked like 2 years in advance. So definitely wise to even just do your research, and so you can kind of hit go once that rings on the finger.
Yeah, and I think like, as well, like when you reach out before you're engaged, you also get a little bit more transparency and understanding of the costs that come up with weddings. I think, yeah, something that people don't realize is that costs may go up each year as well. So, someone's if you've heard like a bride's got married in a previous year or two ago, that it might not necessarily be the same amount as your future 2025 or six wedding per se. So I think reaching out to them just to seeing what their current cost is might help you with budgeting in the future, and having that early visibility of your costs before you get engaged helps with, I guess, your budgeting, and being able to say, oh yeah, I've reached out to this person and they cost a certain amount, so we didn't expect that, so maybe we need to reach out to some other vendors to see if their costs are comparable, or if that's just like what all photographers or what all catering or what all hair and makeup costs in the industry. So yeah, doing your research I think is a really important one for your wedding.
Yeah, that's great advice. It's good to chat to a few different people and see kind of what is normal price wise, I guess. And yeah, no harm in doing a bit of planning early on or before being engaged. I think that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, I didn't want to seem across like that crazy person that I'm like, planning my wedding before I'm even engaged. I think Henry did actually see one time when I had like wedding or something on the thing, and he did call me out on it. But no, I think when we'd both discussed that we were going to get married eventually, so I think yeah, when I had the wedding dress like visions or different things up, I was like, I'm just pre-planning so that I don't get stressed when the day eventually happens.
Yeah, I think that's so normal as well. Like, a lot of people, when they're dating or even single, have their little wedding board on Pinterest, or you sort of like dream about it a little bit. And yeah, if you're secure in your relationship and that's going to be in your future, then no harm in it.
Yeah, it's also fun, just like like just I don't know, when if you're one of those
Creative.
people, yeah, if you're one of those people that have dreamt of your wedding and thought this is the day that I want, then yeah, why not, like have a little bit of fun with just like pretending, or um visioning your visioning your own wedding.
Yeah, no, I love that. I'm definitely a ideas person. So just being able to like soak up that dream phase, I guess, before it's like can get a bit intense and everyone's like, what are you doing for this and this and this? And it can get quite stressful, but yeah, just sort of relish in the creative side of it and the sort of dreaming about what you want. I love that. And what is married life like now? Do you feel like you got any of the post-wedding blues?
Yeah, married life is really good. I don't think that too much has changed with Henry and I, but yeah, I do like calling him, and I'm still trying to get used to calling him my husband. I think that's a big change. That when we got engaged, like was like really keep forgetting that he was my fiance, and saying that was strange. And then I just got into used to the word fiance, and now it's like, oh, yep, you've ascended to husband status now. I need to remember to call you a husband. But that's really, really nice. And yeah, I think married life is kind of just, yeah, the same. We've been together for quite a while, so I don't think too much has changed on our parts. But I do feel like extra close to his family, I would say. I think now that I've got, I always like found that, they welcomed me in, but now it just seems like a little bit more official, being part of his side of the family. And I know that he said like the same thing with mine as well. Like my sister calls him like brother and stuff now, so that's quite nice. And then the post wedding blues, like I had actually never heard of that before, and I genuinely feel like, yes, I definitely experienced it, and I don't know if I'm still experiencing it now to this day, because yeah, I really do miss that wedding week and reminisce on the wedding week. Like anytime that I see photos or videos from our wedding day, I'm just like, oh, take me back to those days, especially since I think the main thing is when you have like a multi-day wedding week, like or when you're doing lots of celebrations with a lot of friends and family who have like come from overseas or that you haven't seen in a really, really long time, that wedding week of celebrations was just a fun moment in time that I know that I probably won't ever be able to recreate or get back again, because yeah, I don't know if it would ever be able to be possible to have all those same people in the same room for that day. So I think that's the part that I miss the most, really, and get post wedding blues about, is not being able to see all my friends and family, my grandma from Australia, again, like until like I go visit them.
Yeah, such a special time. And yeah, like you say, they're probably not going to be all together again. So yeah, it's something that you sort of miss afterwards. And yeah, such a big build up to that time. And then it's like back to reality. It takes a while to process sometimes.
Yeah, and I think as well, like one thing that I loved about planning the wedding was that it really taps into your creative side, as you said, like your ideas and everything. And I didn't realize how much I loved like the planning and creative side of the wedding, and I really do miss that now, because I'm like, oh well, like what else can I
Not
be
cricketing
creative?
every night.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm like, oh, maybe I need to like, start like something in the wedding industry so I can be creative again, or something to do with planning or creative side of me, because it was quite fun being able to do something and work towards a project that I'd never done before, but I'll also explore like different sides that I'm like, oh, I actually am like good at this, or like oh, I didn't realize this was so much fun, or I enjoyed this so much, because yeah, you'd never done it before.
Yeah, so cool. I definitely know a few vendors that's how they kind of got started out planning their own weddings or doing, yeah, the sort of creative elements for that. And then we're like, oh, I actually really love this. I want to do it more.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah, we'll keep an
exactly.
eye out if anything pops up from you.
Yeah, definitely keep an eye out.
Amazing. It's been so lovely to chat to you. Is there anything else that we missed or you want to add or say to engage people listening?
Yeah, I guess the main thing that I would say is definitely look after yourself and enjoy the process and the actual day, leading up, like the days leading up to your wedding and the actual day itself. Like, I don't think people kind of talk about how stressful and the extent to how much effort and time that a wedding can be put on certain people. So I know that, at the time it can be quite stressful and it can be hard to really plan a whole wedding when you've got your own, like, your regular life to live as well. But yeah, I think looking after yourself is the most important thing, and looking after yourself, your partner as well, just doing your check-ins and making sure that you're both good to each other during the process, and helping each other and supporting each other throughout the process is really key. And making sure that you both enjoy and the experience of your own wedding. I think one thing that Henry and I, unfortunately, we were talking to so many guests and trying to socialize with so many guests that we actually ended up missing out our dinner, and not being able to eat. So so, like, and or even like going to the photo booth and taking photos inside there. So there's just like little things that I encourage you to just make sure that you experience and enjoy your wedding, as well as making the time for your guests as well. Because at the end of the day, it is your wedding, and you want to be able to experience it and have your dream day as well. So definitely making sure that you make the most of the whole day.
So easy to just get caught up in it all, or saying hi to all these people, and just really being intentional about enjoying it yourselves, and that whole process leading up to it as well, like focusing on your relationship, like that's what really matters. And then your own, like, mental emotional health as well, for sure, because it can be quite stressful and overwhelming at points.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Oh, so great to chat to you. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
No, thank you so much for having me. This has been so much fun.